Did you just tweet out a link?
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be watching this video or listening to the podcast. Welcome back to a special edition featuring two boys from America. It's Andy and Mike from Gooners in the USA. How the hell are you?
Hello, hello.
We are doing well. How are you doing, Craig?
Yeah.
Look a bit red.
I'm all right at the moment. Can you hear me? Can people see us? Put something in the live box on Twitter. I have it up on my phone. Can you see me? Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. It says we're live. It says we've got... Yes, hi again. We can hear everyone.
Hey.
You're going to wish you couldn't by the end of this podcast.
But just for anyone who's watching thinking, what the hell are they going on about? Don't worry. It's just been a bit of a nightmare. But we're back. And we are here. A special show tonight. We are hoping to raise money for cancer research worldwide. If you can, go to goonersversuscancer.com. See the link there. Donate £1 if you can. We've got 4,000 subscribers. It's everyone who watched this donated £1. That's £4,000. If we donated 50 pence each, that's £2,000 towards the magic total that I'm going to hand over to Mike, and he's going to tell you a bit more about it.
Well, thank you, Craig, Lee. I've mentioned to you before, we're just really thrilled with how energetic you guys have been about joining us in this cause. We told you about our plans for Gooners versus Cancer a few weeks ago, and you guys just immediately said we're going to do a joint pod. We're going to help you raise money, and it's been really kind of heartwarming for you guys to do that. So what we're doing is we're raising money worldwide. It's a worldwide charity. It's not just here in the U.S. The charity is the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, which raises money to help treat, provide assistance to families, and hopefully find the cure for blood cancers. Blood cancers like leukemia, lymphoma, myeloma, that sort of thing, which have impacted my family tremendously. My father passed away. My stepfather's been diagnosed a couple times with lymphoma, and we just know so many people have been touched by that it's a huge cause for us. So, we've seen before what the Gooner family can do, what the Arsenal family does when it comes to reaching into their wallets and £1, $1, $2, £5, $5, whatever you can spare, because we know you have a lot of requests for charitable donations, and we know we're just one of them. But even if it's just a couple of meticals, which, Andy, is the currency in Mozambique, because we've cornered the market in Mozambique.
We are the #1 official Arsenal podcast in Mozambique.
We are, definitely, and we learned that from Mozambique Weekly, which is a magazine that my son subscribes to. So the goal is to raise about $2,500 by the middle of September, which is when my office has a charitable event that raises money for the same charity, and we're hoping to contribute at least $2,500 at that point. We'd love it to be more. We're about 1/3 of the way there already, with about 5 or 6 weeks left. Again, if you just have anything to spare, go to goonersversuscancer.com or goonersvcancer.com. Either one will take you there. Learn a little bit more about the fundraiser and help us out. And if you can spread the word, that's even better. Well, it's not even better than donating, but it's almost as good. So thanks again for that. And I'll talk a little bit later in the podcast about a way that, if you have artistic abilities, you can actually help to bring in a $500 donation to our charity on behalf of somebody that's looking for a favor and willing to donate to the charity for it. So I'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Superb. As some of you might know, me and Lee have decided that we are going to donate every single penny we make from YouTube this season to the cause. I don't mind in telling you, but I think we earn about 6 or 7 euros per video. So every single penny that we make.
That's 20 euros more than we earn per episode.
Yeah.
You guys are off and running.
Every penny Google told us we have to pay them.
Every penny we make is going to go to this charity. Like I said, there's 4,000 of you out there that subscribe to us. If you could all give 50 pence, that's £2,000. It adds up. If 4,000 of you donate 50p, then there's £2,000, and that brings that. I mean, that will take us to the grand total. So then everything's a bonus. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. I know Harry from the Chronicles of Gooner is doing the same thing. A lot of Arsenal fans are getting on board with it. So we're just using our power of social media to get this charity out there. So it's goonersversuscancer.com or goonersvcancer.com. Go and have a look. Like Mike says, go and have a look at it. It'll explain in even more detail.
Explain.
Even more detail what we're trying to do here. So please go and have a look at it. See what you think. And like Mike says, 50p will do it. If you all donated 50p, it'll be absolutely brilliant.
But if someone isn't going to donate it, then you have to do it a whole pound.
Yeah,
because you got to make up for that asshole.
And just
that's not very nice of me. We're raising money.
And just for the Americans that might be watching, that's £1 sterling. That's the little gold coin with the Queen's head on it.
It's not worth as much as it used to be, though, is it?
No, it certainly isn't. It certainly isn't. Judge, wake up!
Are we live this time?
Yes, we're live. Yes, we're live. Yes, very good, very funny. Yeah. How are you, mate?
I'm all good. So yeah, I'm slightly over the disappointment of yesterday, but it was very enjoyable going back down the Emirates, having a catch up with some old pals and whatever, and it was good up until about 4:15. I have to say, and unfortunately, about 4 o'clock, because once Manchester City turned up. Listen, that's why they're champions. Their fans are actually singing, that's why we're champions. And I have to say, I've only watched one game this season, but I'll be very, very surprised if they're not champions again next season. I will be. I'm very, very surprised. Very, very good side. And if things do go a little bit wrong, if they have somebody get injured during the season, January, they'll have the money to bail them out of it. Well, we won't be playing it where they won't be playing midfielders up front and wide players in different positions, because they've got a squad. I'll tell you what, their backup squad would probably get into the Europa League top 6 quite easily. The subs that they were bringing on yesterday were, De Bruyne, Sane. We'd love to have one of them in our starting lineup, let alone on the bench.
Absolutely. Andy, let's come to you and talk about the game. Welcome to the Same Old Arsenal podcast, mate. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me on.
Not a problem, mate. Not a problem. Our pleasure. Lee's talks about the game. Yes, it was disappointing. We lost the first game of the season. It was a bit of an anticlimax. I didn't expect us to beat Manchester City in my heart, but my head was telling me, no, you can. But we didn't. We lost the game 2-0. But there were a lot of positives yesterday that I thought. We didn't lay down was the first positive. Yep. If that would have been last season, we'd have laid down and opened our legs.
Yep.
And perhaps conceded 4 or 5. The other positive I liked was that I liked the high press that we were playing. Obviously, not the best of teams to be doing it against, Manchester City, but hey, that's the way the manager wants them to play. And the third positive for me was this boy Quendozi. How good is he?
Yeah, I said on our pod last week that I wasn't going to be dick diving because I wanted to see how well he played against some of the big boys. And I thought that he held his own. He made the mistake for the first goal. He wasn't by himself on it, but he made the mistake and he didn't drop his head. He kept going. I think the last match he played was in front of 6,000 people in the French League 2. And so it's a pretty big step up to play against the defending champions in front of 60,000.
It's kind of like how we feel on this podcast today.
Yeah,
right? We're used to playing in front of like 1,000 people.
What really impressed me with him is his age, how often he wanted to be on the ball, even after the mistake. He just kept going and going. And he reminded me of a young Fabregas. He wanted to be connected to all the plays. He wanted to receive the ball. He got stuck in. The occasion, I think, got to him a little bit, but you didn't really see it too much. And if he's good enough to play like that against City, there are 19 other teams that I feel he could really impress even more against. And so, it was a tough match to watch. I predicted we'd lose 2-1. But tough way to start the season, but he was definitely the shining star in that match for sure.
Absolutely. Mike, what did you make of Quendosi's performance yesterday?
Well, first, I'm gonna sound the bell for a donation. Thank you, Carrie McCollum, who's a regular listener of ours and in the chat box. Came up with the idea to ring the bell for a donation. I could see in my email one came through from him, so we're off and running. Thank you, Guendouzi. I mean, the game overall is a perfect example of kind of the learning curve we have this season. I mean, not just for the players or the coaches, but the supporters as well, I guess, because I mean, we like Andy said, the team in general, not just Guendouzi, they didn't roll over and die after they conceded the first goal. They didn't drop their heads. They didn't. I mean, they stepped up the play as far as I'm concerned after halftime. I mean, I could be wrong because after halftime I had considerably more beers than I had before halftime. But it seemed to me like there was some response, some team talk at halftime that did something. And yeah, I mean, Guendouzi learned the hard way. I hold him primarily responsible for that goal. Really was kind of disappeared and let Sterling do whatever he wanted. And Cech, I think, was unsighted. But did he come back out and put a hell of a shift in for the rest of the game? Yeah, absolutely. And maybe we would have lost 5-0 if Kun Aguero could have hit the net. I mean, it was a rare off day for him shooting wise, but it's too early. I know Lee and I probably disagree on this a little bit, but I mean, I'm not really reading too much into any of this until game 11. That's the Liverpool game, which I'll be at, as a matter of fact. But by that point, we'll have played 2 top 6 teams and then 8 that we should be, and we'll really have a true idea of who we are at that point. So, I'm going to hold back on too much criticism of any 1 or 2 or 3 players or the coaching or any of the ridiculous stuff I've seen on Twitter, and just say, this is a smack in the face that we might have needed in order to get us playing the way we need to play next week.
Yeah, people who follow me on Twitter on a regular basis knew that I'd done a little bit of knee-jerking yesterday. But that's just me. In the moment, I tweet silly things. So if you see silly things, just go past them. I did put a tweet out, same old Arsenal, different manager, and the abuse the abuse I received for that was it was quite interesting, actually. But it was just a knee jerk. When I sat down and turned it off, and 10 minutes later, when I actually went back in my head, there was a massive lot of positives. Lee, let me talk to you about the back 4. When we were in Dublin, we were sitting there going, "Oh my God, is this what we've got?" Watching them playing football with each other in the 18-yard box. So at the friendly, I know it's a different, completely different game. But at the friendly, I think we counted Chelsea. It took Chelsea 4 passes to get into our box from their 18-yard box, and it took Arsenal 30 passes to get to the halfway line. What's this playing out of the back? What do you reckon, Lee? This playing out of the back looks like Emre he wants to get the ball on the ground from the goalkeeper out to the defenders, and he wants to play it out from the back.
Well, I think it's a tactic that can work in certain games, and then in other games like yesterday, it's not probably the best thing to do. The fact of the matter is, I heard people yesterday saying, and I don't want to go too negative because, Manchester City are a very, very good side, but they're saying, oh, I was impressed with the press and all that, But as I said, yesterday, Manchester City 4 or 5 passes and they're on the edge of our box. So it's either them fantastically good at it or we're poor at pressing, But every time they pressed us, we give it away. We would get sucked into areas, and then it was just a long ball up to a bang to I'm going to say Pierre because I get so much stick for that. So,
a banger gang.
I was just saying that a bang.
Think about the last president before this ridiculous guy.
A ganger bang.
Start with Obama and then just say Yang at the end of it.
Obama Yang.
There you go.
A ganger.
Obama.
A ganger
I don't
bang.
know what Pierre. Me and him are on first name terms anyway. So
probably see it next year at Wimbledon, was
it? We had a knockabout before everybody got there, but no, seriously. And so what he was doing was, then it was like a free for all. Who gets it after that, And what I'm saying is that Manchester City will construct of it, and I get the fact that they've done it for a couple more years and whatever, blah blah blah, and so from that point of view, now if you're going to play that system, listen, I think Petr Cech has got tremendous criticism, right? For what? For his for his passing out and all that. But if it wasn't for he's a goalkeeper. He made 5 good saves yesterday, So, but everybody's talking about his passing and effect. So, if they want to go down that route, then like Pep done, he got rid of Joe Hart straight away. Bosh, got rid of him. But so I feel that what's frustrating me a little bit is the lack of ruthlessness. It's certain players have been given the ruthless treatment, others are not, and I feel that I'm a little bit worried about that, if I'll be honest. But listen, I think horses for courses. I think against lesser teams, I see what it does. What you do is you try and get that. You're drawing players. What it is you're drawing systems out of position so you can get into them with the teams that sit back a lot. And I get that, but do you really want to do that against the Manchester City that are going to come and attack you? So I felt that the tactics were a little bit wrong. And I'm not going to criticise too much, but the one thing that I went to the game yesterday was thinking, right, this is going to be a new year, a new start. Everything's going to be different. And I wanted to be excited what I see. What I actually see was the same things of last season. And I mean, Mesut Ozil playing right wing. I thought those days were over when we're going to be seeing that. You know what I mean? And there he was playing right wing. Now, everybody seems to be criticising Hector Bellerin, and probably, maybe so. But his cover, the player in front of him to protect him, which you do need in games, was Mesut Ozil. So yeah, he's going to get exposed. And, that was my problem. And I just feel that, we've brought all these players and only 2 started. One we never heard of, which was Guendouzi in midfield. I think is an outstanding player. Made mistakes yesterday, but the ones that he did make, Petr Cech put him in the mire a couple of times, and he done really well to get out of it. So I think you've got to persevere with this boy, 19 years of age, well impressed. And don't forget when Arsenal play, Fabregas played when he was 16. Jack Wilshere was a star when he was 19. So why can't this kid come and do the same? So I'm really, really pleased with that. But all in all, a little bit disappointed. I'm going to say, I was a little bit disappointed. People keep, saying, "Oh well, I'm expecting Arsenal to lose this game." Really? Well, if that's the case, if you're expected to lose, then why are you paying the money to go and watch them? I expected us to get something out of the game. I really did. I would have took a point, but on that side there, they're a very, very good side. They're not going to lose many games, lads. I'll tell you that now. What I see yesterday, they're not going to lose many games. So from that point of view, we've got to dust ourselves down and. Chelsea have been more of a test because I think that we're not competing with Manchester City, guys. We're not competing with them. We're not competing with Liverpool, but we are competing with Chelsea for that top 4. Now, if we want to get into the top 4, I'm not saying we're going to beat Chelsea, but I want to see us nowhere near as outclassed as what we was yesterday.
Yeah, I see Guendouzi as being a microcosm of the entire squad right now. Young, raw, going to make mistakes, but everybody, no one has roasted Guendouzi for and he gave up 50%. He was responsible or largely responsible for making the game Man City's to lose. And, and that's, everyone is giving him a free pass on that. And I'm fine with that because of the way that he reacted to it and the position he was put in. I think the whole squad is that way at this point. The individual players. Yeah. I'm not calling Ozil a debutant who doesn't know how to play the game. I'm just saying this squad as a whole is very young, very raw. Their time together under this type of coaching regime is very young and very raw. And I would like to have the team given the opportunity to develop the same way everyone's calling for a guy like Guendouzi to be given time to develop. And that's how I'm feeling about it.
Andy, what do you make of his team selection yesterday? Mkhitaryan and Ozil on the wings. When I looked at it, I was like, I would much rather people have laughed at me when I've said this, but when Aubameyang was moved to the wing and Lacazette came on, we actually got at Manchester City. We actually looked like we could score a goal. So it puzzled me a bit. Now, I said that if I was manager next week, I would drop Ozil and I would put Aubameyang on the right wing, Iwobi on the left wing, and Lacazette up front.
Yeah.
Now people go, Iwobi, why would you play Iwobi? I'd play him because he deserves a chance. I think, and I don't think people don't give him enough of a chance as he deserves, because I've seen him come on as a sub a couple of times and he's changed the game.
Yeah.
We give him the ball and he runs with it and he gives us an outlet.
I mean, if rumors are true and Unai gives each player a specific thing to do in each match, when you have an Ozil type character who's played a certain way for his entire career, to stick him out on the wing when he's not necessarily used to, and then in the back of his mind he's thinking, okay, well, the manager's told me I need to be here, I need to be here, I need to go there. The player's fucked because he's thinking of all these different things and he can't naturally be the player he wants to be. So to throw him out on the wing, as Lee said, those days are gone. We know that doesn't work. You almost have to give him that free role and then remind him, hey, this is what I need from you specifically. I thought the starting 11 for me on the day was probably the best we could get. I mean, Torreira is not ready to come back, probably at full pace. And you want to see what Xhaka and Ramsey have got in the midfield. I don't think the two of them can really play together, to be fair. But, we need to do something different against Chelsea. And I think that we're going to see Torreira probably start the match. But it's a tough one. I tweeted out, we look like a team trying to learn a new system under a brand new manager, and we look like a group of players who have never really been coached that way before.
Yeah.
And it just sucks that we're starting this off against Man City. If we had been playing Huddersfield or Bournemouth, we probably walk out 2 or 3-0 win, right? So and it sucks that we're rebounding against Chelsea. But there needs to be some change. I don't know if I'd go with Iwobi personally. But Mkhitaryan, Ozil, Aubameyang, they were all asleep until Lacazette came in. And we need that final third to be a lot better. A lot better.
Absolutely. Mike, what would you don't get me wrong, I'm not digging out Mesut Ozil. I really am not. I would just change the tactics for the outlet down the wings. Someone's got to be sacrificed. And for me, it would be Mesut Ozil.
I don't care who it is as long as you get the two of them on the pitch together, Aubameyang and Lacazette. Yeah. I mean, everyone at the pub just within 2 minutes of him coming on was like, this team just had a shot in the arm.
Yeah.
And again,
he looked like a player that also wanted to say to the manager, "This is why you start me."
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and the way that they interacted, against lesser opposition, obviously in the preseason. I mean, I saw nothing from their partnership either late last year or in the preseason that made me think that there should ever be a time where you don't push those two guys out together. I mean, again, I'm no tactical genius and I never talk about formations because I'm clueless on formations, but personnel wise, those two have to be out on the pitch together.
I mean, you're talking about two players who were leading scorers in Europe. Lacazette was leading scorer in France. Aubameyang was a leading scorer in the German league.
And I keep going back to the example of Ian Wright and Kevin and our buddy Kevin Campbell, who they said, and including I think George Graham said, you guys can't play together. And when they had the opportunity, they showed that was just flat wrong, and they scored a lot of goals together.
They certainly did.
And these guys could do some serious damage together if they have the opportunity. So, I don't know if you sacrifice Ozil, if you sacrifice Mkhitaryan, who I think most people would probably say you sacrifice. But it has to be them, and we got to figure out what's going on with our left back situation.
Maitland-Niles got roasted yesterday. But again, going back to Lee's point, the kid had no protection. He was getting absolutely roasted. Mkhitaryan was nowhere to be seen.
Well, and he's hurt. We don't know whether he's even going to be fit to play next week. He had to come off the pitch injured. So we had Lichtsteiner switching over to the left. And not looking too bad there as far as I could tell. But if we have either Maitland-Niles or Nacho Monreal fit for next Saturday, I start them. And I can't get over how much I'm impressed and in love with Steven with Lichtsteiner. I just every time he comes on the field, I feel on the pitch, I feel better. He's
Proper
just got that
defender.
intensity.
He's a proper defender, absolutely.
I mean, he's a dick, and he's our dick, and I want that.
Absolutely.
I want our dick on the pitch at all times. So, I mean, if Bellerin has to be sacrificed for him, so be it. But yeah, it's early days. We'll figure it out. I have faith.
Yeah, it's like Diego Costa. I always wanted Diego Costa. And they were, he's a wanker. No, I said, but he'd be our wanker. You know, I'd love
just want to get your hands around our wanker, don't you? Lee, what would he have been?
I'm not saying it, Mike. Thank you very much. It's a family show.
Okay, but you shouldn't have invited me on.
Obviously, I'm saying I'd drop Ozil if it was the same formation. It might not be the same formation against Chelsea. I'm not expecting it to be the same formation against Chelsea.
Well, he's come out and said in his post-game conference, we prepare for every game differently. And I mean, I fell to the floor when I heard that because I'm like, did that just come out of an Arsenal manager's mouth?
Yeah. I think there's going to be massive changes next week, Lee. What do you reckon?
Well, yeah. Listen, going on to Mesut Ozil, I think, and this is what I'm saying about being ruthless. You know what I mean? Like ruthless with Jack Wilshere, you know, in that decision. And it's got to be a ruthless decision. And what I'm saying is that I want to see Mesut Ozil. He's got to play the free role. If he's not going to play the free role, do not cater for him and put him out wide right or wide left or whatever. You either give him the free role so he goes and does his stuff, right? Or you don't play him. Now, if you're going to play against Chelsea, that means someone else along the line has to sacrifice. So be it. But if you're going to sacrifice other players for Mesut Ozil, he then must step up to the plate, right? And now what I'm saying is you're going to go in there, you can play Xhaka in there and Kudozi, or you can play what I would go with would be Kudozi and I'll bring in Torreira. Like there'll be my two holding right, and then I would say whatever his bloody name is, and then I would put Mr.
There's no L in there, dude.
What is his name then?
Torreira.
Lucas.
Torreira.
LT.
Right. Well, I don't give a shit anyway. Like that.
Family show.
He can go in there. Lucas can go in there alongside the French boy. Right, and the two in there.
Mateo.
And then Mateo. You then play
Quasimodo.
Then you play Mesut Ozil. Right, he can go into the. He can then have the free roll. Now, if that doesn't work, right, then you can get rid of it. You say, right, he's not playing well. We are now. You can be dropped. But when you're playing him wide left or wide right with no pace, and I feel sorry for Mesut Ozil, and he's then getting a lot of stick. You know, he's a gifted football player. If you're going to play him, you're going to give him 325 grand a week. Then play him in his proper position. And if it doesn't work, then you can turn around and say, do you know what? It ain't working. Out you go. And then you've got, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna be really slagging up. Mkhitaryan, right? Thank you. Is the player that typifies Arsenal over the last 10 years. Pretty on the ball. When it really matters, doesn't do it. Weak. You know, there were a couple of times yesterday when he got through and he got pushed off the ball. And, you know, he's had 6 months to settle in. I wanted to see Mkhitaryan flying. But I asked the question, I don't know if you guys or people are listening to it. Is he really a wide player?
No, he's not.
I don't think he is. So, again, we've got a new manager catering. We've got a new manager that's trying to put square pegs into round holes. I've seen this for 6-7 years under Mr. Wenger, right? And I understand at times that Arsene Wenger had to do that because he was strung by a budget and whatever, the stadium and all that. But we've come out of that now. And, well, I go to the game yesterday, and this is where I was disappointed. And I'm seeing players being put in different positions. Like, you know, now somebody said yesterday, which is a good point, you know, people are slagging off Danny Welbeck. Put him out there. Put him powering down the right-hand side because we're going to have someone that's going to stretch, you know, instead of someone getting the ball and coming back and going inside because that's where he wants to play. So there's your two decisions that have got to be made. One, or, you know, and then you come to Aaron Ramsey. It's slightly the same with him. because he wants to play in that position as well. So you've got 3 players that all want to play one position, that are all out in different positions, and when they get the ball, trying to go into those positions. So make those right decisions. Now, I love Aaron Ramsey, but for a game against Chelsea away, I'm sacrificing Aaron Ramsey and I'm playing Mesut Ozil. Or you play Aaron Ramsey and you sacrifice Mesut Ozil. When you're paying someone 325 grand a week, I'm sorry, guys, he's got to play. Because if you don't play him, you're not justifying that wage. And that's the thing there. Someone made a great point today at work. Got to say this, you know what I mean? Why is Granit Xhaka playing, right? And this fella turned around, Les, I'm going to give him a shout because it's a great shout. Turned around and said, because Arsenal paid money for him. And I believe there's something in that. They paid £35 million for him. So we've got to play him because we don't want to be seen as, and that's where a manager has got to become rigid. And guys, I can tell you this now. If Mr. Emery does not get this right, the loyalty that he's showing these players that are not doing it, the club's not going to show the loyalty to him and he's going to go. Yeah. And this is, please.
It's been one game, Lee.
Yeah, but it's been one game and it has been one game. But, listen, I'm going to come back to a point what I think. So I think that he's got to make these decisions. Otherwise, he's going to fall, right? Now, on the flip side, and I've tried to have a little look at this, I think at the end of the day, there was a slight game plan yesterday, was that I'll go with that. And if it's 0-0 with 20, 25 minutes to go, I'm going to bring on Lacazette. And that energy that we had for that 10, 15 minutes could have got us the win. And everybody would have said he's a tactical genius. But, unfortunately, football is fine lines, as we know, and it didn't go for him. So, But from my point of view there, if that was a tactical we would have played, why didn't he play someone like El Neni in there, someone just working a little bit better than Mesut Ozil? That's my things. I know it's only one game, but I do feel that we've got to just change that. Listen, I wasn't the only one, Mike.
No, I know.
When they see that team sheet before the game that was disappointed what they see. We was in the pub, a lot of people were going, what's going on? A lot of people were excited. I'm going to tell you this now. A lot of people were buzzing in the pub before the game. And at 3 o'clock, when they see the team sheet, it deflated a lot of people. I'll be honest, it did. I'm not lying when I say that, and that's all I'm saying. But listen, we go against Chelsea next game and, let's hope we do it.
I see what he's saying. I do see what he's saying because I saw the team sheet and I was thinking to myself, why is Ozil and Mkhitaryan on the wings? There is players available to you that are wingers. Why are you not playing them?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what everybody was saying that in the pub. You know what I mean? I'm not saying this. I don't want it to go as like I'm being negative here. I'm just saying it's just facts.
It's not about being negative, mate. It's about talking about what we see, and that's what we saw. I would have played perhaps Aubameyang on the wing with Iwobi on the other wing. I don't understand. And people say, no, it's only one game. It's only one game. It might be only one game, but he got it wrong.
Well, he got it wrong, and hopefully he'll get it right next week.
Hopefully he will, because
that's all we can do is hope at this point. Whereas in the last 5 or 6 years, I would feel 100% confident that it wouldn't be corrected the following week. At least I feel like
I agree with you there, mate.
There's some awareness to fix it, and it'd be nice to get it right from week one. It would be nice to do what most people think is the obvious thing right away in week one, but you gotta get knocked down a couple times before you get back up, I think. And this was a tough one. I mean, the game could have been 0-0 or could have been 1-1 going into that substitution time frame, and we would have been looking at things completely differently. So if Cech wasn't unsighted, he might have saved that. He might have he'd stuck his arms out. There's a lot of ifs. It could have also gone the other way because Aguero missed a bunch of open nets. So but I just hope that I can feel the noose tightening already, and it makes me very, very uncomfortable because I'm going over there in about 2 months, and I don't want to go over to protests again. I just can't do that.
No. Let's not be too silly.
It's not.
We're not saying that. We're not saying.
Oh, I'm not saying you guys. I'm just saying, like, I just you're making great points. I'm with you in theory, but I'm just willing and hoping and I've got my faith in this guy that he may not make every decision right, but that he will learn from his mistakes, and that's what the difference is.
Absolutely, I agree with you there because I'm fully confident that against Chelsea, he's going to have a team rip roaring and ready to go against Chelsea. I was hoping that it was going to see. That's the thing. I was hoping it was going to be yesterday.
Yeah,
I was hoping to see Lucas playing CDM. I was hoping to see two pacey wingers with Lacazette up front. I didn't get it. I was, like Lee said, I was deflated. Mercer Ozil and Mkhitaryan do not work on the wing. Hopefully now Emery has seen that. Andy, I'll come to you. He's put a team out there yesterday. He must have been looking at that thinking, shit, I've got this wrong here. I believe that that's what he was doing.
Yeah, I think once Lacazette came on in the first 10, 15 minutes, he's proved to the coaching staff that he deserves to be on the pitch. And I agree with you, whether that's on the wing or up front, there needs to be a change. As Mike had said, we already heard from the manager, each match will be different. I think Ramsey's injury, if it is serious, forces that central midfield partnership to be changed. And so I see Lucas coming on as that defensive mid.
It's a Ramsey injury. Of course it's serious.
Yeah. Guendouzi and Xhaka probably in the middle. I was impressed with Mkhitaryan playing deep in that final game against Lazio. I thought he was pulling some strings. But we have to see something different. I mean, and I think Lacazette has done enough to prove that he should be on the pitch.
Yeah. And I think
especially since our final third literally did nothing until he got on. I mean, we needed something up there, and he was it. And he even tracked back to defend. And I think, again, he was doing this all to say to the management, I deserve to be on this pitch more than anyone else.
I think Lucas Torreira you're talking about here.
No, Lacazette.
Oh,
there were
sorry,
a couple
Lacazette.
Moments in the match where he came back to defend, and so I think it was just proven. Lucas, for me, and I said this on our pod, he will be the signing of the season across the entire league. I think he is going to be the heartbeat of our team. He just needs to be embedded.
Yeah.
Not speaking the language probably doesn't help. You see him barking orders in Spanish. Once he can do that in English, I think he's the first name on team sheet.
And I even saw enough of him yesterday as well to think, next week against Chelsea, it's going to be different.
Yep.
We can. Okay, so I think what we're going to have to do is kind of shove yesterday under the carpet and kind of leave it there. Now, as some of you know, we are doing this for a massive cause this evening. We're doing this for Gooners versus Cancer. If any of you have come late to the video, we are doing this for cancer research worldwide. If you go to www.goonersversuscancer.com, you will come across a link to donate. If you could donate £1 or 50p. If you donated £1 with 4,000 subscribers, that's $4,000.
You can donate more if you want to.
You can donate more if you, of course.
But we certainly are happy with anything you can do.
Even if 50p, that'll be $2,000, and that'll be. I think we'll hit the target. If everyone donated 50 pence this evening, we'd hit the target. I'd say. Am I right, Mike?
Absolutely. We're shooting for 2,500 in the next few weeks, and that's in dollars. So if everybody did 50p, we'd get there. Absolutely.
Lovely. So 50.
And thank you for your help.
No problem. Let's go to some questions. I've got some really good, interesting ones here. Let's go back to the judge. Should Bernard Leno? Sorry, I'll start again. This one comes in from Douglas. Thank you, Douglas, for the question. Thanks for watching. Thanks for getting involved. Should Bernard Leno start against Chelsea instead of Petr Cech?
In my opinion.
In your opinion, mate?
In my opinion, no. I thought Petr Cech done enough with his saves to justify a selection. I felt that he is a goalkeeper for first and foremost, and he kept us in it in the first half, and also in the second half when Aguero went through. He made another great save there. Maybe at the fault for the first goal, I'm not too sure. I know Mike just said he was unsighted. I felt maybe could have done better.
Goalkeepers Union. No, he couldn't have done anything about that.
No, so there you go. So I felt that his handling, crosses and everything was good. The only thing that he wasn't very good on was his kicking, but but he's never been no good at that.
True.
So, so
Very true.
that's my fear. I felt I can see why people would want to see Leno come in because of the kicking situation. I can get that, but I don't. From probably being an old school sort of a fan, goalkeepers there to save shots, and I felt he'd done that job well enough, so I'm going with him.
Absolutely.
Have you seen the Twitter kerfuffle between Cech and Bayer Leverkusen today?
No, I haven't. What happened?
Okay, so Bayer Leverkusen apparently tweeted something either this morning or last night. Here's how you distribute the ball from the back, and it showed a video of an amazing goal from last year with Leno distributing the ball out of the back, and it was just tic-tac-toe stuff into the goal. And it was in response to some Arsenal Twitter accounts. Arsenal fan Twitter accounts. I don't know who. And Petr Cech about 2 or 3 hours ago responded and said that Arsenal's a big club with values and professionalism, unlike some others. No. And then he added, and so their response to that was, it was just a little bit of banter. Of course, we want to see Leno play. Sorry, it wasn't meant, and so it's blown up. I'm sure it's still blowing up.
But, watch us get them in the Europa League. Are they in the Europa League?
Oh, God, that would be...
watch us draw them.
Okay. Yeah, no shit.
Absolutely.
That would be the Arsenal way to end up playing the team like that.
Let's go to Andy, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over to Mike, because Mike is the front man of Gooners in the USA. Well, that's what he's told me, Andy, anyway. So
I did not say that. I never once said that.
Yeah,
I get a daily text. My back hurts from carrying our podcast. That's all I hear from him.
Andy, this one comes in.
Carrying something.
This one comes in from Ian. Ian Funnell. I hope I've said that right,
Funella.
Funnella.
Just call him Ian. Call him.
Yeah, Ian. To get the best out of Ozil, he needs to play centrally. So how do we fit him and Ramsey into the system? Or does it have to be one or the other?
As Lee had said before, you have Ozil. He needs to play in that free role. And you almost feel like Ramsey needs to be put on the bench for it. I don't know if you can have both of them doing it. They both get too high up the pitch. They neither track back as much as they should. So I think you sacrifice one for the other. And a little competition is going to make both of them better. So I would follow that route and say, you play one and you bench the other. But Ozil's not a wide player. He needs to be in that free role and let just kind of loose. And so I think that one has to be sacrificed.
I would like to see Ozil play against, if he's playing in the position he's supposed to, I would keep him. But if he, like I said, going back to what I said before, if Ozil's going to play right wing next week, then I'd drop him, because it's not happening.
It's not worth it. Yeah, we were playing with 10 men at that point.
I expect to see Ozil in the free role against Chelsea with two pacey wingers. Whether it's Aubameyang and Iwobi, or Aubameyang and Welbeck, or Lacazette and Welbeck with Aubameyang up front. There's plenty of choice and plenty of ways he can do it. So I'm hoping we might still get, like Mike says, it's only one game. There's plenty of formations and tactics.
We're going to be doing a podcast in like 6 months. We'll be like, it's only 27 games. Give it more time.
give it till next week at least. So I've got to agree. It has got to be one or the other. I don't think Ramsey and Ozil can be on the same pitch at the same time. Just for tactical reasons. Mike, handing over to you, sir.
All right. Well, we have a couple of user questions, we call them, but and then I got a couple talking points that I want to get your guys' opinions on as well, if we can kind of float in and out of the questions. One from Danger Dean, who said, would you like to see, this is similar to some other questions, but would you like to see a Ramsey, Torreira, Guendouzi midfield? And he adds that he loves the kid. And in fact, he used the F word in that. But since this is a family show, I won't go there.
He fudging loves him.
He fudging loves him, and then leave Xhaka the fuck out.
I see what he's done there. Very clever.
So I'll ask you, Craig. Would you like to see that threesome with Xhaka left out, or would you play it a different way?
Yeah, I would probably play it a different way. Again, going down the tactical route. All three of them in that area. No, I don't think it would work. I would probably like to see a Lucas Torreira and Guendouzi in the middle. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see Torreira just behind him, Guendouzi in front of him. You know, in that, if you want that Aaron Ramsey role, but box to box, spreading the ball wide, holding play up, bringing other people into it. The thing around this kid, I said it to Lee when we were in Ireland. I said, this kid is unbelievable. Yes, he's going to make mistakes. I agree with Danger Dean. I fudging love him as well.
Were you surprised to see him on the team sheet yesterday?
No,
I was very surprised.
No, not one bit, mate. You asked Lee for the last 6 weeks. I've been saying this kid has to start against Manchester City because I'm sick and tired of seeing other clubs bring in 17, 18-year-olds and then they go on to be great, and they really are a pinnacle player and a pinnacle part of that team. I'm sick and tired of seeing it. We've now got one, and he's playing. Play him. People say he's too young, he's inexperienced.
Age doesn't matter if you got
absolutely
the skills.
Not.
Play him.
He has proven to me that he can play Premier League football. He has proven to me that he can play. He'll probably play in the Europa League for us as well, I would imagine.
We'll learn a lot about his mentality because
we absolutely do. Look at the kid. He gets a ball. He's always looking to release it. He always wants to go forward. He's not what remember the Mikel Arteta days when Mikel Arteta would be in there and he'd get the ball and he'd stop it on the halfway line, turn around, have a little look. Who's over here? Oh, there's no one over here. I've lost it. I've lost it. He's not like that. He gets the ball. He's looking. There was a time in Dublin there where we got a free kick. He put the ball on the ground and he tried to release Aubameyang. No, he wasn't ready. No one was ready. People say, it was only a friendly. Exactly. Look at the kid's mentality.
Yeah.
It's a friendly and he wants to get us going. So, for me, at the moment, Guendouzi for me is the first name on my team sheet.
All right. Well, I mean, I'd love to see what he's capable of. I like what I've seen so far. Do I play him in front of Xhaka every week? That's, I think, what he's trying to get. He just wants to get on Andy's nerve by.
But they play two different positions, though, right? And I think we still keep having this mindset that Xhaka is this defensive midfielder, and he's not. It's how Xhaka fits into the system that Unai is going to implement. We saw at the World Cup when Xhaka's got a defensive midfielder behind him, he has the free rein to go and play what we would expect Ramsey, that middle of the pitch, making the angle runs, wanting to receive and feed that ball and not be relied on to come back. And it's so interesting. The moment that first goal goes in yesterday, Twitter erupts with, that was Xhaka's fault. I don't see how. Same with the second goal, but give it time.
I erupted with, that was a mistake from the young man, but let's see how he comes back.
But I agree with Craig. He deserves to be on the team sheet against Chelsea, because whilst he made that one small mistake that led to a goal, you could blame two or three others. It's the way he reacted after. At 19 years old, he didn't let his head drop. He was like, fuck it, I'll just get more involved and I'm going to make up for my wrong. And there were a couple times where he misplaced a pass and he followed up to make sure that the next pass didn't go anywhere. That's what you want from someone on the pitch. And if you're 19 and you can ball, throw him out there. Because no one was saying when Messi was 19, well, don't play him because he's young. No, if he can play, play him. And I'm not comparing the two.
I was about to say that's a big take.
Age doesn't matter at this point. The only way you get the respect on the pitch and you get to grow is by getting in those matches. And playing him in under 23 is not going to help develop his career. He's too good for that. He's way too good for that.
Yeah, and we've been crying out for this for years. Regardless of price tag, we've been crying out to have somebody push these guys who have a free ride from week to week, like your Bellerins, like your Xhakas, who know that they're going to start regardless of their play. Not anymore. And so if Xhaka gets relegated to a bench role or to Europa League games because Guendouzi is forcing you to put him in the lineup every week, that's a good thing.
But this is what I think Emery will do. He will be that ruthless.
And I think he'll pay attention to it, whereas others might not have.
He's going to be that ruthless.
Yeah, and yes, Louis, in the chat box, Bellerin let him cut inside. Cutting inside doesn't assure you a free shot at a goal, though. And Guendouzi.
And also Louis, what were the two centre halves doing, standing in their own 6-yard box? Why weren't they charging him down?
Socrates was standing like a statue, unsighting the goaltender.
Why weren't they charging him down?
Guendouzi did the thing that you teach every 6-year-old who's playing football not to do: dive in, and he dove in.
And Bellerin done another thing that you teach every 6-year-old not to do, and that's not show a player on his strong foot.
Absolutely.
Also, though, I will stick up for Bellerin there. You're also taught to direct the player into the traffic. So what Bellerin done was took him into the traffic, which is what you should do, and Guendouzi should have then took the ball off of him.
Unless the player's name is Raheem Sterling or Arjen Robben.
It was a comedy of errors.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
There wasn't one person to blame.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I don't think there's one player to blame. I don't think there's just one player to blame. I think
unless his name is Xhaka.
The whole build up to it was full of errors.
Yeah, every goal is a mistake. You know what I mean? That's but you have to sometimes give the other player credit as well. He come inside and he's hit a good shot. It happens, but. Basically, what I think Bellerin done the right thing. He showed him into the traffic, into where the heart of all the players are going to be. Centre halves as well, Craig, dead right, because they should have come up. As soon as he cut inside, they should have come up, but they didn't. They stood where they were, and Guendouzi should have made the tackle. But it's done. How
many times do you think the players have seen that video already since yesterday?
Oh, mate, I should think they've seen that a few times.
I think they'd be showing it, and let's try and move on. I don't think keep trying to give the blame to someone all the time. I think we're past that now. It's done. Move on,
Yeah. Good.
I agree.
Good. Next question from our podcast grandfather maybe, Danny, from a Bergkamp Wonderland. We love Danny.
A grandfather. I don't think he's going to be very happy with that. That's harsh.
He is old.
Papa he is. He's the papa.
I'm using up any good graces I have with him. He asks, what player, Arsenal player, past or present, if you could get him to come live with you for a month, who would it be and why? And I'm going to go to Lee on this because Lee does live with multiple past Arsenal players now. So if you could pick one to live with for a month, who would it be? And you can't say Kevin Campbell.
I can't say Kevin because
he lives with him already.
Well, it would be two. It'd have to be two. Obviously, Charlie Nicholas would be one.
The question is, what Arsenal player? Can't be two.
I'm just saying, if we had to, it'd be out of Charlie Nicholas and Ian Wright.
And now you got to narrow it down to one.
Yeah.
I thought you'd say Hector Bellerin so that you could finally get someone to dress you properly.
I would. Listen, he was my idol growing up as a footballer, so it would be Champagne Charlie Nicholas. Yeah, done it.
All right, you got an answer for that yourself, Craig?
If I could live with any Arsenal player for a month, yeah, it'd have to be Ian Wright. Ian Wright, definitely.
Are we allowed to choose Alex Scott? By the way,
that's actually a very, very
I just realized you didn't say it had to be a man's player. So
trust you to say that, Mike.
Yeah, well, it just popped into my head.
It would have to be Ian Wright. If anyone's watched that documentary that he done,
just be crying all the time on.
No. Watching
I really enjoyed that dinner tonight, Ian, and start crying.
Watching
I love it.
Watching that documentary, I was just in awe of him, just in awe of the man. I was watching it, watching it on a laptop computer at home, and everything around me just wasn't there. I was just totally focused on this man, what he was talking about growing up,
You talking about the '89 or the writing?
No, he was just talking about his life, talking about when he was growing up, where he lived.
Very sad.
Talking about the tough life, talking about people who meant so much to him, and I was just absolutely in awe of the man. And Ian Wright must have 101 stories like that to tell. So he could tell me 5 stories. He could read me a story at bedtime. He could tell me a story at bedtime for a month. And if Ian Wright could tell me a bedtime story every night for a month, I'd be very happy with that.
In the chat, we're getting a lot of buoys. We're getting a lot of Sanya for his wife.
I'll tell you what, though, I'd love to go out on the drink one night with a buoy. I'll tell you what, that would be a night worth reporting. That would, I'll tell you.
Yeah, please do. Andy, who are you inviting into your home with your lovely wife and child?
I feel like Oleg Lushnik doesn't get enough love. No, I'd probably go with an Ian Wright or Thierry Henry.
Nah. Thierry
Henry would never make you a cup of tea or coffee. He's a bit selfish.
He bore me to tears as well.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the right answer.
He wouldn't bore me to tears, but
no, he would.
All right, couple other topics.
Who's yours? Quickly.
Oh, mine. I gave mine already.
Alex Scott.
Alex Scott. Unbelievable.
Perfect.
So, won't be too happy with Alex coming in every
It's
day.
not unbelievable. I think it's a bloody good answer because if I'd have I'd have given it. Yeah.
You know. So anyway, what do you make of the Gazidis kerfuffle? Have you guys talked about this on your show yet?
No.
I mean, he's gone, yeah.
Who?
Probably.
Ivan Gazidis.
I hope so. Yeah,
your favorite. Yeah, your favorite. Lee makes no bones about the fact that he's not a Gazidis fan.
Well, but I've got a bottle of champagne sitting there. When he goes, I'll even cork it on here, like, you know, when he goes.
I asked Andy this last week on our pod, but and I know you guys have your own take, but I mean, if you're looking at who would replace him, would you rather, if these were the only three choices, Josh Kroenke, Arsene Wenger, or Gunnar Soros? I had a dream last night that Gunnar Soros like took his hat off and it was Arsene Wenger in there coming back to take over the job, and I woke up in a cold sweat. But
well, for realistic, I wouldn't have Kroenke. Any Kroenke I don't want near the club. I shouldn't really say this, but I'm starting to dislike Americans because of him. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so.
We're not overcoming that.
My apologies to all you Americans.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry
about my friend Lee.
It's just Mike and Andy make me. If it wasn't for them two, I think the hate would have gone. I just really.
That's a great thing to say, by the way, when you're getting on a plane and coming over here.
I know. I don't like the Kroenkes. You know what I mean? I watch. What team does he support? I can't. What American team is he with?
The Rams, and then all of Andy's.
The LA Rams. Every time any team, but I even want Dallas Cowboys to beat them. You know what I mean? So I just can't stand them.
That's Andy's. That's Andy's team.
So I'm a big Redskins fan. So like, you know,
another one that sits in front of the Super Bowl that doesn't know, everyone has a clue what's going on.
No, well, there you go. Like, but, you know, so I'm a sportsman through and through. You know, but like Arsene Wenger, without being like, you can't have a dinosaur, so you can't like. Are you
talking about Arsene Wenger? Or are you talking about?
Seriously about Arsene Wenger, the only thing that would worry me is that he wouldn't want to spend no money, but you know he knows what he's on about, and mate, you know it's a difficult thing, but
what is Gazidis?
Arsene Wenger. I'd have Arsene Wenger. I'd have him over a Kroenke any day.
Gazidis technically, I mean, like his job, as I understand it, it's not the David Dean role or the. I mean that Raul Sanelli is supposed to be the director of football. He's not the scout. My understanding is that they're really, other than hiring those people and putting a team into place, he's more about the marketing partnerships and the promotion of the club. So, I mean, at first when I heard that he was potentially going, I'm thinking, you know, why now? He just finally won this war, essentially to push his way onto Arsenal and knock Arsene Wenger's connection to the Kroenkes out. Didn't hurt that the team finished out of Champions League 2 years in a row and seats were going empty, but you just finally do that. Why would you leave? And does that destabilize the team and everything we have going forward? The more I started thinking about
it was probably all part of the master plan.
My problem with it is, right, I'll tell you my problem with it. He might be in the marketing and all that, but our budget this season was 50 million, right? So where's all the money going, right? And he's responsible for that. And at the end of the day, a club like Arsenal shouldn't be. Well, then he sanctioned that, you know. And I'm sorry that what all that's wrong. The day that he should have gone was when we spent 15 million on Petr Cech and no one else. You know, he sanctioned that. And for me, you know, what's happened in the past, he shouldn't be there, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when Arsene Wenger went, do you know when I know a little story a lot, but someone told me today. Do you know that 22 staff went when Arsene Wenger went? 22 staff. It should have been 24.
All right. And one quick note on the Kroenke ownership, as far as I'm concerned, would it kill them to pander a little bit to the supporters and just put out a statement, not a corporate sounding statement, not one that's released through secondhand through Unai Emery talking about what he saw when he went to the U.S. for his interview, but a very direct statement about their feelings about this club, the future of it, the values, the competitiveness, and their hunger to win. I mean, it could be a bullshit statement, but at least it's something to reach out to the supporters and say, I know you're nervous about it, or recognize, whether they believe you should be or not, nervous about us buying all the rest of the shares. We have Arsenal's history in our heart, and just something to buy some time, or
I think it's coming.
Some of the. I mean, couldn't they do that?
I think it's coming, and I think it's going to come from Josh. I think Josh Kroenke will step in. I think Gazidis will go. I think Josh Kroenke will step in. I think Josh Kroenke was the main man in removing Arsene Wenger. That's just what I believe, because he could see that his dad wasn't too interested in what was going on. I think getting Josh Kroenke on board, we're all up in arms at the moment that Kroenke's bought Arsenal and Kroenke now owns Arsenal. I think his son coming onto the board. I've done a little bit of reading. He's into his sports. He's got money invested in a lot of sports teams in America who are, for the record, doing quite well. Am I wrong,
Andy?
Am I wrong? They're doing quite well this year. The Rams are challenging, I think, aren't they? And
Rams are challenging. The Abs are challenging. He's kind of following the same principles at each club. Bring in a young manager. Remove a lot of the unnecessary people around their board, and have father-son run the entire operations. And they typically will bring people into the organization that have knowledge of the sport, that have been attached to the club before. So his Colorado Avalanche, the general manager who answers and does all the business, is an ex-player legend. It'd be like Thierry Henry coming back and running the business. So, they are successful and they are challenging. And he's made a comment recently in a Rams press conference that he understands Arsenal's his flagship sports franchise, and he needs them to be winning more than anyone else. And so hopefully that's signs for something good in the future.
That is a good sign. Was that Josh that said that, or was that Stan?
That was Stan. They were doing something at the new ground that he's releasing, which will probably be finished before Spurs. So
Andy, by the way, coming through with the Vincent Company head today, like 2 inches from the webcam. Sorry.
So look, Josh Kroenke coming in could be a good thing. Now, when it was announced, I was livid. But again, that's me knee jerking, and when actual people were talking to me, calm down a bit, Craig. It might be a good thing.
I think it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, I was saying, comes in
you bring in Arsene, you're going to still have that finance handcuff. At least if you bring in Josh, he can approve everything right away. There's no, hey, we need to make a few phone calls. It just can be done then and there. But I would say leave it all to the football minds if we could.
Yeah. But we haven't got any football minds on there anymore. Well, there hasn't been for a long time, has there? So
who's a great football mind, Andy, is Keith Steinmetz. Does that name ring a bell for you?
No, it doesn't.
He's the man responsible for your Andy's musings this week. A story that you felt would be very important to bring to the consciousness of our listeners and Lee and Craig's listeners. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what Keith has just done? Or what he did, I guess, 6 months ago.
Wait, are you asking me or are you asking Lee?
Yeah, your story that you wanted us to cover today.
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't really didn't he get banned for 3 years because he exposed his penis and was shaking it at the top?
Yeah, so this bloke from Newcastle, a youth team football coach, not much unlike yourself, Andy, until recently, was fined £600 for quote unquote shaking his penis at a group of Tottenham supporters after a 1-0 win last season at St. James's Park. So the least surprising part of the story is that it turns out, again, I quote, he was drinking on the afternoon in question. That's the shocking part of it. But you brought that to our attention, and I just had to say, I think that's £600 well worth it. Although he has been reported to the FA. Like, do the FA have jurisdiction? I guess
he'll probably go into
jurisdiction.
He'll probably come out of court and say that was the best £600 I've ever spent. I know I would.
They get banned from playing, doing youth football and all that now because of that.
Oh, well.
But the one good thing is that the Spurs fans must have seen it to complain, so it must have been a big one.
Must have been. They must have been jealous.
They must have been jealous, those Spurs fans. You know what I mean? So.
Well, back to you, Craig. I know that you got a couple other questions in response.
I haven't actually.
Well, you did too. I wrote some down then that you got when you asked for questions. Colin sent in a question. A couple others. So Colin said, "Do you think the fans expected too much?" And he got his name in there. Too much, too soon.
I'll say that question.
First of all, I could not love Colin's accent.
First of all, I would like to apologise to Colin because I can't see it, and where is it?
Well, you asked for questions earlier today,
did he do the hashtag?
Oh, maybe not, but I don't know. I wish he would record his question because listening to Colin.
Colin, I'm so sorry, mate. I've got it here. So
yeah, some fans expect too much too soon. That's definitely there's nothing wrong with high expectations, but I think we covered earlier in the show. I mean, if you're griping after yesterday too much, I think maybe you're on the border of expecting too much too soon. But by the same token, and I don't want to rehash things we talked about 45 minutes ago.
Well, but look at the match, Mike. I mean, Mustafi had a clear penalty that at the World Cup would have definitely been called. So you're at 2-1. We had a couple opportunities in their box to make it a more threatening match with Ozil and Lacazette not communicating with their keeper coming off the line. Bellerin shot. It's not all doom and gloom.
Absolutely.
I mean, Lacazette looked well going forward. I mean, we had positives, and as Lee said, it was probably on, like, as you look at it from the whole picture, it doesn't look great. But we could have been on the score sheet a couple times. Had Ozil not run onto that ball and Lacazette followed it through, that's probably a goal. You give him that opportunity in front of the keeper, he bags it 9 out of 10 times. So we had opportunity to get back into that match. Everything kind of fell their way. And all in all, we had 9 players who didn't deserve to be on the pitch, but we still put opportunities on net, and that's what you can ask. And hopefully we see something different against Chelsea.
And also, we're not going to play up against a side like that week in, week out.
No,
they're a class above.
They're next level.
They are. They're a level above everyone. Not just Arsenal. They're 2 levels above us, but they're still a level above Liverpool and Manchester United.
It's a failure for City not to win the Champions League this year with that squad.
Yeah,
that's a failure for them.
Yeah, they took an almost invincible team and they added Riyad Mahrez.
And we're looking to gain top 4. They're looking to win the Champions League, and they should.
Yeah.
So levels, right?
Absolutely. Levels there. Colin, I'm not being I don't think I'm expecting too much. I just expect yesterday I expected the manager to put, like Lee said, I expected him to put square pegs in square holes. But he didn't. I was disappointed, that's all.
Exactly. Good point.
Of course, it's his first game. I've known, we've known for 8 weeks that it's going to take time. A lot of people, I mean, Pep Guardiola lost his first game 4-2 against Leicester. He then went to Watford the next week and got back and got hammered 4-0 by Watford.
We should have been gone.
Now look, I'm not saying Unai Emery is in the class of Guardiola, but he could be. Who knows? He might be.
Maybe it's a strategy to lose the first game.
He might be. Yeah, like I said, I knee-jerks yesterday, said a few things that I looked a bit silly. But like I said, I just got caught up in the moment. I was just frustrated, that's all.
Special shout out in the chat to that London fella who asked me how my diet is going. It's going fantastic, and the next thing I'm going to eat is your mom.
Oh!
So thanks for your comments in the chat.
Sorry to all our listeners under the age of 12. You'll have to ask your dad what that means in a couple of years' time. In a couple of years' time.
What did Archie do that he's being reported?
I don't know. Archie usually comes up with some good stuff, but
I want to know who's doing the reporting.
Well, no one's reporting anybody. We're going to unreport you, Archie. How many points will we get in the next 9 games? Now, keep in mind, this is what I was saying earlier. We start off with 2 whoppers, Manchester City, and that's technical football term in America, whoppers. Man City and Chelsea. But then the next 8 games after that, stretching all the way through the end of October, are against clubs that at the very least we should be beating, mid-table 7th to 10th place teams, and then a couple of really low end and newly promoted teams. So, out of 27 points in the next 9 games, what do you think, Andy? What under what amount would you start to become really alarmed?
Listen, this team is, by all accounts, pretty much the same squad as we had last season, right? So, I would say this weekend with Chelsea, with the way they're playing, I don't buy into their win at the past weekends. They played nobody. So we should play well against Chelsea. I think a minimum of 1 point there. But then we go on a run of West Ham and smaller clubs. That's where I think we're going to start really getting off running. And so I give him until December because it takes a while for new managers to embed their system on players. And as we've heard before, like Pep didn't get it right. Klopp hasn't gotten it right the first couple months. And now look at those teams flying. I know it's been a couple of years, but if you look at the first couple months, it's very hard for new managers to come in and break the mindset and the values of what a lot of these players have grown up seeing every week. So I give it until Christmas. As I said in our podcast, my expectations for this season isn't for us to win the league. I think that's not attainable. My expectation is that we're in the running April, May, that we have a couple cup runs going. I want to be in the mix. So I say give us till Christmas, and that's when we should really start looking at this team. And again, it's not just how many points we have, it's how we're playing in each match. If we had nicked a goal yesterday, I think our outcome's a little bit different. But he said, hey, we're going to see something different against Chelsea. Let's take him by his word, right? The way we play City and Chelsea are going to be completely different against a West Ham. So I give him till Christmas personally.
All right. So you don't want to put a point total after the first 10 games.
Mike,
now that's coming from someone who said that we were going to win our first 7 games.
Everybody slags me off about name calling and all that, but when I get asked a question, I do answer it correctly. You know what I mean? Yeah. 20 points. Under 20 points, I'll be.
Yeah. Okay, that took me a bit, but yeah, he fucking didn't listen to any part of the question.
I did say to you, Mike, I didn't hear the question.
No.
Are you Tom Canton now?
Quick enough to have a go at the banging hang, isn't he? How's a go about me about a banging hang? Yeah. Don't even answer questions right,
That's a stupid answer.
Lee, what did you say?
Stupid answer. Stupid question, stupid answer.
All right, fine. If Lee said 20 points, I'm going to say 19.
I'm with Lee. Under 20.
20. I think we could, after 10 games, we could have 15 to 17 points and it wouldn't be the end of the world. We'll probably be in 8th place or 7th or 8th place if that's the case. But
you keep aiming higher, Mike. You keep aiming higher.
I'm not saying that's what I want. I'm just saying, look, it's gonna. I'm starting to look like one of these arson in people now. But look, I just want some peace and quiet in my life. So I'm hoping for some. And you and I are going to be watching that 3rd game together.
Yeah, so we are. Yeah, we are.
Be prepared to see some drunken AFTV, Arsenal Fan TV in New York submission by video on that day. But if we lose against West Ham, what are we? Is steam going to be coming off?
Listen, if we lose against West Ham, we've got all day together. Like, I ain't going to be good company. You know what I mean? Like, if it was,
we're going to go on a boat. Are you going to jump in the water at the Statue of Liberty and dump me overboard?
There's two bodies in the Hudson River wearing Arsenal shirts. You know what I mean? Saying like that. You know. So, at least when it's a 3 o'clock kickoff or 4 o'clock kickoff, the days that we're going out there. Was it a 10 o'clock kickoff? Is it?
Yeah, the game will be over by noon.
Oh God, we've got to win that. I tell you, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's 16 hours. Like, no, I feel it. No, come on, we've got to win that game.
You can go to the 9/11 memorial and be less depressed than
it's going to be bad.
To West Ham.
It's going to be bad enough because the Chelsea game's 5:30, so that's the 12 o'clock. You know what I mean? So by 2 o'clock onwards, I'm going to have a shitty day. You know what I mean? So I can't have it on the Saturday as well. No, we're going to win the game against West Ham. Yep.
Well, that's if you're letting the country after what you said earlier about America.
I'm gonna have to jump in because unfortunately we are out of time.
Well, that's good because I'm out of questions.
Like I said before we started this podcast, and like I said during the middle of it, we've done this tonight to raise awareness, and we're going to try and raise some money for cancer research. Mike,
can I say how we have the opportunity for someone to be responsible for up to $500 of a donation? We have a wonderful listener who is looking for a kind of some help on a private project of his, and he thought to solicit some help by offering money to donate to Gooners versus Cancer. So we stand to receive up to $500 from one of our users as a donation for those artsy Gooners out there that can create a logo for a T-shirt that he's looking to make. So this is not connected to Gooners versus Cancer other than for the donation. But it needs to have a fox theme with the word fox, like the animal, very present in the theme, and some sort of graphic design as well. And it's geared towards 16 to 30-year-olds, that age range, so it can't be too childish. It shouldn't be, there should be no fox penises or vaginas or anything like that, because it's not for, it's not a pornographic thing, but just some sort of T-shirt emblem, maybe like the size of a badge on a football shirt. And if you can email gooners@goonersinusa.com or DM us. If our DMs aren't open, just send us a tweet and I'll follow you. But if we can get some, a design or multiple designs, the more we can get for him to choose from, the better of a chance that we get to have our $500 donated, because that will be a huge part of getting us closer to our goal.
Super. There's a few of our followers. There's a few of our followers who might be interested in that. There's a few artists. We've got. Is it Charlie that follows us? Who does
Charlie? I've already been speaking with Charlie. Yeah. He's actually already sent one in, and hopefully make a slight revision to it. But I mean, I've become aware of a few people who are regularly into that. Charlie's at the top of the list. But if you know others that you may that may want to hear that aren't paid and that aren't tuned in today, please don't hesitate to retweet our tweet about it.
Will do. So, Mike and Andy, it's been a pleasure us having you on our podcast and us being on your podcast. If that makes sense.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. You're now a 3-time guest, Craig.
Yeah. 3 times. 3 times on the second.
47 times.
It's been a pleasure, and I'm glad we've done it. Sorry it didn't work out how I wanted it to go. I've actually been working bloody hard all week to make sure that software was working, but obviously it's just not meant to be.
It did look good, though.
It did look good.
Oh, it did.
But unfortunately,
my face is 1/4 of the size that it normally is. It's a win for me. So.
Judge, a pleasure as always, mate. Never a chore to have you on and to be speaking with you.
Yeah, no worries. I just want to say that I do really like Americans. Just nothing about there.
Especially the ones that work in the airport security.
Exactly.
And I'm looking forward to coming out there in New York in a week's time or so.
And of course, the last thank you goes to everyone who was watching this evening. Over 250 of you tuned in this evening to listen to us talk rubbish for the last hour. Well, not all of it was rubbish. Some of it was quite good. Some of it was quite good.
Just my bit.
Yeah,
It was
just
all
your
right
bit.
when we-
Good, yeah.
It was all right when we was answering the questions we was told to. It was good.
So thank you very much. We will see you sometime next week, hopefully with a better result to talk about. That would be nice.
I thought you were going to say better guests.
It did cross my mind. So yeah, until we see you again next week with a better result to talk about, hopefully.
Up the
Up the
arse.
Arsenal.
Cheers. Come on, you Gooners.